You made it to level 2, deeper questions leading to deeper answers. I'm Tomas Garza, and I'm here to help you decide to transform. I'll be setting the pace for the process to support your unfolding. Learn and commit to a practice that brings simplicity and an awareness of what is ready to be released. Join me now and allow the experience of a deeper sense of love. Well, hello, and welcome back to Season 5 of Decide to Transform. I'm your host, Tomas Garza, and I'm so happy that you're joining me today. It's exciting for me to take podcasting back up after a few months of rest and, regrouping and reorganizing, and I'm really happy to be bringing you some solo episodes and touch on some core ideas of spirituality here, core ideas about world spirituality and personal growth and transformation that apply to all of us, no matter what our spiritual or religious background is, no matter what we do for a living, no matter what ethnic or cultural group we belong to, no matter anything. They're universal, and they're the foundational pieces of my own teaching in both A Course in Miracles and Soul Path, both of which are universal modalities. So, welcome, and I want to, as always, invite you to go back, if you wish, and listen to some of the wonderful interviews that I've done. Podcasting has opened up so many doors for me, and I have met so many wonderful men and women from all over the world that I really, really appreciate. And I've had some fantastic conversations. So in prior seasons of Decide to Transform, I've had some of these very conversations at length in the form of guest interviews. So I invite you to go back and tune into those. So today, we're going to talk about what literally can't be talked about, and yet we're going to do it anyway, and that is non-duality. This is an underpinning of spirituality, period. When you think about the purpose of spiritual practice in the world, a number of things could come to mind, such as alleviating suffering, maybe living a better life, a happier life, a more forgiving and fulfilling life on a deep internal psychological and emotional level, just being a happier person in general. There's so many things that could come up as the purpose behind it. And what ultimately they all converge in is allowing truth to be as it is. So no matter what your background, this is where all world traditions end up, in the essential realization that only truth is true and only truth is. This can be described in a couple of different ways. Only love is. Only our higher self is. Only God is. Only our reality, our identity is. The essence of who we are, without all of the drama, without all of our concepts, including concepts of race, ethnic group, gender, occupation, even species, without any of our conditioning, such that we wind up asking the question, who am I? What am I? Because it becomes clear over time. And again, this applies no matter what your spiritual practice looks like. It becomes clear that the world, that our societies, that our parents, that our school books can't provide us the ultimate answer. Because the ultimate answer is beyond that form of questioning. It's beyond anything in this world. So what's non-duality? Well, it's the opposite of duality. What duality is this is the way we experience the world as me and you, right? As separate individuals. In fact, our very language serves to keep us separate because we think of everything in terms of me, myself, and I. And naturally, we identify with the body as me, myself, and I. It becomes us, who we are, yet we know deep down, and because you're listening to this, I know that you know, or you have wondered at one point in your life, is there more to it than this? Duality is the world that we live in, where we appear to be independent, individual, self-sustaining survival units. That's a very interesting term that I learned in the 1990s from a woman's job resume. And I thought it was very clever at the time, right? Self-sustaining survival unit. Well, that's what we think we are in the world. And we see ourselves as opposed, sometimes in league with other self-sustaining survival units that we call human beings. Honestly, that's the world of duality where there appears to be self and other. Non-duality is when there's no other. It's the experience, in other words, the realization of our essential oneness. To say that we're all one is simply to state the truth, whatever our experience in the world may show us. And of course, it shows us the polar opposite of that more often than not, doesn't it? With images of war, with images of political discord and strife, just to name a couple of different examples. And there are many examples of duality that don't appear on the surface to be as violent as war or political discord. However, they're still dualistic because there is a subject and an object. There is a perceiver and the perceived, whether it's a person, a place, a thing, an object, a feeling even. Non-duality is beyond that, or you could say behind or underneath all of that. All of those are words, but non-duality is who we are. It's truth with a capital T. It's our self with a capital S. It's the nature of what is. In fact, it simply is. This is where world spirituality ultimately points. Now, if you are practicing a tradition that does not talk about this, that's absolutely fine, because they don't all talk about this, right, as we can see. Now, there are some that do. You may be practicing a variety of Buddhism that's very, very into non-dualistic teachings, such as Mahamudra teachings, for example. To name just one example, you may be practicing Advaita Vedanta. You may be practicing A Course in Miracles. There could be any number of different traditions where the actual teachings themselves talk about non-duality. Now, of course, non-duality is beyond words. It's beyond all of our human-made concepts completely. It's beyond all that. It's the truth as it is. So we find in spiritual practice that all of it points to our allowing truth to simply be as it is. Plain and simple, unobstructed, because it is limitless. This does mean that you are limitless. It means that. So, as you're listening to this, please take heart in that message. Please acknowledge and reach for your own limitlessness. Allow it to be in whatever form your spiritual practice takes. This is a tremendously valuable lesson. It's a tremendously valuable practice. And it's a message of constant hope because, as we discover on the path, we have the opportunity to choose this oneness in the present moment on a constant, ongoing basis. We have opportunity after opportunity to choose yet again. So a lot more, of course, can be said about non-duality, but I want this particular short talk to serve as a primer for you. And if this means that you explore some non-dual spiritual traditions, so be it. There is a very excellent interview from this show, from a past season of Decide to Transform, with spiritual teacher G.P. Walsh about the inner workings of Advaita Vedanta, which is the spiritual tradition that G.P. practices and teaches. Anyway, we did a fantastic show about just that, where GP explained and took us through Advaita Vedanta in great detail. And I invite you to check that out. That's a show with GP Walsh, who has made several appearances on this podcast. That's a really good one. And of course, you can always Google or look up non-duality and non-dual spiritual traditions. And as always, you're more than welcome to reach out to me with any questions at all. Some of you know that I teach A Course in Miracles, which I will talk about in great detail in further episodes of this show. And if that is something that's of interest to you, feel welcome to reach out to me with any questions. Email is by far the easiest way to do this. That's Tomas, Tomas, at tomasgarza.com. That's all one word, and that's the best way to reach me. All right, guys. So it can seem almost, borderline arrogant, can't it, to attempt to talk about non-duality in any words at all, much less in a very short discussion of under 15 minutes. But hey, we'll attempt it nonetheless. This is foundational stuff for all of world spirituality. And as I've mentioned here, I am going through some of these foundational and fundamental concepts here to kick off Season 5 of Decide to Transform. So as always, email me, contact me with questions, and thank you so much for joining me here today.